and welcome to the Unapologetically For Truths podcast with your hosts, Lakeisha Fry and Jessica Bennett. Here at For Truths, we hold space for real conversations with a mission to explore, unpack, and find resolve for topics that impact our communities most. We saved you, our listeners, a seat at the table, and that fourth seat, that offers us all the spiritual guidance from the Most High. To stay in tune with what's true to us, make sure you subscribe to all of our social media channels at Unapologetically For Truths. Now let's get into it. So we appreciate you joining us. And today's topic, we're going to talk about mental health.
That's an interesting topic because I think Dr. Fry, because Lakeisha is Dr. Fry, claim it and own it. She worked hard for it. Mental health has been like escalated or on another level since COVID-19, but it has been like tucked behind the corner in the Black communities for years that we don't identify. Will say a child is ADHD or ADD or something like that, attention deficit disorder, ADD, but not realize that there's other components of the mental health need to be dealt with, like anxiety, bipolar, depression, oppression. And sometimes just needing having a conversation to find out who am I and why am I here, and that all puts some kind of stipulation or a connotation on that person mindset or who they're trying to become from the child to the adult. So, but at the same time, Dr. Fry, I sit back and we're going to talk about mental health in the beginning. Mm-hmm. People say, I'm running to a therapist. I got counseling today. I got counseling this week. And they'll unpack a thing, but is that really change?
Right.
Because if you're still dealing with stuff after you go for 6 weeks and you cannot take 20 years of stuff and get rid of it in one day, understandably. Mm-hmm. Definitely understand that.
Yes.
But if you were doing a repeat offender I don't like my girlfriend, or I hit her last night, I don't know why, and you're a repeat offender, really going to therapy, does it really work?
I actually believe therapy works, but I think it cannot work alone. It needs to be multiple approaches to this one issue, in my opinion. Okay. I myself, in my line of work, I push therapy all the time. I do believe in it. I do believe it can help people go through various issues that they're going through. For me, it has been difficult to get some of our African-American families to open up to therapy, but lately it's becoming more and more accepted and utilized, thankfully. And I do see changes in those persons who are going through it for whatever reason that they felt they had to seek it in the first place. Okay. But if you don't have the support of people around you, right, if you do not have the cognitive sense to understand the strategies that you're given to help you cope and move through these issues, if you don't truly understand and absorb, how are you going to apply that? So maybe we need to look at, how do you best learn? If check in throughout the course of the therapy in order to make sure that this is beneficial and that you're actually utilizing it appropriately. And sometimes it's the therapist. I truly believe that you should shop around until you find a person that works the best alongside you, and not a yes person. If your therapist is always basically co-signing everything that you're saying, not really giving you any tools to help you move along, it's different when you have someone, it's like a parent who's acting as a friend rather than a parent.
Right.
The parent who's acting as a friend is not really beneficial to that child and helping them grow, mature, learn lessons, because their focus is, to be friends with their child. But unfortunately, with parenting, you cannot be 100% that child's friend. Your goal is to have a friendly relationship, but you
Mhm.
cannot see yourself as that child's friend because it will be difficult to guide them and raise them. They're not going to respect you the same.
Right.
Same thing goes for therapists, in my opinion. So I feel like it's just multiple things, that come into play when it comes to managing your mental health. So yes, I think therapy is important, but I think it can't work alone. It definitely needs other approaches, other people. Your community makes a difference in how much you benefit from it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel like that support system, because if you having an issue with, in isolation all the time, and you're not coming out, or you're not overcoming those things, or you don't have the support to say, look, we're going outside, for example, dealing with a child, or or dealing with anxiety. What is your fear? And unpack that,
Yeah,
in a way. Of course, we have the academic books and everything, but I think just even on another level, just be real with yourself, because I can go to therapy, and this is my pushback, and this is what we call the unapologetically true, because Dr. Fry have a truth, I have a truth, we have an opinion, but there's one truth that stands above all of us, and that's God's word. But even in that, with that, I want to say, even in that, with that, if I do not want to be well, but I just want to have the persona, I'm going to the doctor, I'm going to the therapist, and you're still having these triggers, or triggers of fear, triggers of failure, disownership, not knowing who you are, or compatibility. And then you start developing in every part of your life, where it is in relationship, the things that you don't want to deal with, you call trauma bonds. And
hmm
you think, oh, I'm with Dr. Fry because, or I'm with so and so because they get me. They get you because they have not did the work
right.
in their life, so y'all connecting out of the same fear, out of the same anxiety. So I would say that yes, mental health is very important. It's absolutely important, but the work needs to be done. It just got to be done,
Absolutely.
and the work from the therapist to home to the church you go to, or the church that you
hmm
don't attend, to the colleagues. But when you get alone by yourself, are you doing the work? And
Right.
see, that's my only push back with the mental health, for the lack of a better word, hype. Is having, saying I'm going. I hear people all the time on the YouTube, in conversation at work and colleagues, I'm going to therapy. But then I'm not judging, but I still don't see the change. You still nasty. You still, you know what I'm saying? And then it's
Absolutely.
not, and everything don't have to be the evil of mental health. You know
hmm
what I'm saying?
hmm
Is that you got something to offer, and everybody see it as what we call the middle room experiment. Everybody see that you got something to offer, but you won't come forth and share that, because everything in mental health is not oppression, depression, whatever, but some things you need to be pulled out of the corner, out of your shadows, of whatever that is, you feel like that you're not enough, and offer
Right.
that to the world. So I just want to pinpoint that as well.
Absolutely. And you definitely need to be self-driven because y if you do not have the tools to be able to do the work, if you're not motivated enough to push through and to work on it outside of your time within therapy or community settings or whatever it is that you prefer to do to cope, it definitely will not work. You're
Yeah.
going to backtrack. It's just like homework for anybody else. If you don't
Mhm.
come home and do the homework, you're not going to do well on those tests when you go back to school.
Oh,
You're not
yeah.
going to perform well when you go back to work, when you're supposed to look over a procedure you
Mhm.
have to do or whatever the case may be. You definitely have to be self-driven. But
Right.
I do feel, and this touches on something that you said earlier, Jessica, I do feel that in our communities, it's hidden,
Mhm.
right? So nobody wants to talk about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That complicates things too, because if you don't have someone you can trust and open up to,
Mhm.
you're only seeing your therapist once or twice a week. You're
Right.
coming home to someone else who's not supportive, who may be worsening whatever the issues you are dealing with. it's not going to help. But I also feel I work in pediatrics, and I also feel the parental unit has a lot to do with how children deal with mental health, because if the parent doesn't believe in it, in therapies or
Right, right.
medications or whatever it is that that child might need in order to manage, then it's gonna worsen. And
It's
a lot
it,
of times that child deals with it in silence.
it's failure in practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to say that, it's failure in practice. Because, like you said, if you don't go home and do the homework, if you
Right.
don't go home, you pass test A, but the A has an outline to A1, A2. Well, I passed the test and say that, I went and talked to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then she backed me up in the corner because she don't want to talk about the molestation that I dealt with Uncle Johnny or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then the test that I thought I passed, because just because you have looked at an area of your life and say that I'm going to handle it, but the work of the healing of the heart has to be done.
Yes. Absolutely.
See, because
Ab-
we can go so what we're talking about in unapologetic truth is that, for truth, is that you can go to do all these things, great things, amazing things, go to therapy, go to college, get married, go back to therapy, have pre-marital counseling, whatever. And then the elephant in the room, you're still not healed.
Absolutely.
You hold to the world, you hold in your own eyesight, but you're not healed because time somebody hit that trigger,
Mm-hmm.
you done backed up, you ready to run, you're gonna fight, you're gonna stay, or you're gonna fight.
Absolutely.
One of the things you're gonna fight or you're gonna fight. Either one of it's gonna happen in it. But you have to go back in your mind and say, okay, I'm having these emotions. Where are they coming from? Because
Yeah.
I realize that parents are dealing with child problems, and
Mm-hmm.
child problems are dealing with parents, vice versa. So the child is carrying the weight of the weight of the world of the parent, because the parent has
Mm-hmm.
not. You have a transference that the parent looking at that child like, you got it good and I'm taking care of you. All these things are going on in
Absolutely.
our community that people like, oh, you're gonna be okay. Oh man, you need to pull up your bootstraps. Oh, you better than that. Put on your big girl drawers and all these
Mm-hmm.
kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But all thing we doing when we take people to therapy, I believe, if they don't go home and do the homework, it's
Absolutely.
putting a band-aid on a problem that's gonna go bigger.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to say about that.
And I will be the first to say, not under any circumstance do I think it's easy, that you should be able to do that without question, and not feel judged or not feel burdened by the homework, not feel any negative feelings towards it.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
myself have done therapy before, and I will 100% say that I would have tools given to me at the end of the session. In an hour before the session the next week, I'm scrambling trying to get my stuff together because I know she's going to ask. And me, being a professional who pushes therapy, who knows better, who
Right.
has a career student, I will say, I know better.
Mhm,
But when everything else in the world, falls on your shoulders, you push your needs aside sometimes. Even when
mhm,
you have good intentions, you push your needs
mhm.
aside and you focus on all of those things. But in my personal experience, I did not sow into myself enough
Yeah,
during those sessions.
yeah, right. Because
Absolutely.
I love what you said about, and we got a few more minutes before we, end this beginning of our first initial podcast here, is that you wanting to show up for
Absolutely.
the therapist because
Yes.
she gave you the homework and being
Yes.
who I want to reiterate that you said something so profound. She gave you homework
Mm-hmm.
and you put your needs aside,
Mm-hmm.
but because you want to show up for the teacher, I want to show up for the boss, I want to show up for my husband, I want to show up for my kids. So I'm gonna show up and all, just on top 10,
Absolutely.
but knowing that I'm still defeated because I didn't show up for myself.
Absolutely. And even within that hour before my session, when I'm doing my best to put a really good presentation, forward together for my therapist, in the end, I'm still not benefiting
Yeah.
because it takes time. It
Mhm.
takes time to understand the assignment, to absorb it. The purpose of the assignment
Mhm.
is to sit in those moments that cause you to feel
Ah, that's good.
whatever your issues are, anxiety, depression, sadness, grief, whatever the issues are. And
Mhm.
if I'm trying to pack that into 1 hour, I may impress my therapist because I know what she wants to hear, right? But at
Right,
the end of the
right.
day, am I really progressing?
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah.
And then I find myself behind
Mhm.
on my progress because in the beginning, I did not take the time to really sow into myself, do the work, sit in that uncomfortable feeling, because that's it
In
too.
that
When we're
moment.
uncomfortable, we don't like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, yeah.
So sitting in that homework makes me uncomfortable. Well, I'm gonna do
Mm,
it tomorrow. Oh, I have a busy day at work tomorrow. I don't want to get myself upset. I'll
mhm,
wait until the weekend.
mm,
Oh, well, my daughter Morgan has something going on this weekend. I don't want her to feel like I'm in my feelings or that I'm not myself. So I'm gonna wait. And then before you know it, it's an hour before
mhm,
the session.
mhm,
And I'm doing the research, I'm scrambling, I'm putting my presentation together.
mhm.
And did I learn in the end of those sessions, was it as beneficial as it should have been? No,
My
absolutely not.
goodness.
And I
My
do have a
goodness.
question before,
Sure.
I know we're going to end this soon.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes time.
Perfect. I think that's just enough time. I am reading this book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
Mhm,
If you all have not read it, it is so far a very good read. It talks about the mental health of our children. Earlier, you did mention COVID-19 being a big, big contributor to a lot of the mental health issues going on. And this book touches on that. And
mhm,
it talks about, well, COVID kind of forced the majority of our, communities to basically um, um, depend on the internet for a lot of stuff. Like the internet was teaching our children. The internet was entertaining us because we couldn't go outside. We're quarantining.
mhm,
But now we have children who are socially awkward because they don't know how to have a conversation. They
mhm,
prefer to text you rather than have a phone call where they can banter back and forth with you. And then when they're put out in society, a lot of them are having issues really figuring out how to balance, that social awkwardness. Then they're worried about how they're perceived, and then they cower away, and there's a lot of anxiety, depression stemming from that. Um, and I haven't finished it yet, but it's just going through the motions of how, not just COVID-19, because, a lot of times we have let electronics raise our children or keep them
absolutely.
busy for a majority of the time. It really does affect them in the long run. And now that these kids from COVID-19 are like, it's 5, 6 years later, the results are really, really obvious that they're struggling.
Right.
And so actually therapy rates are increasing for that age group for that
Mhm,
reason alone, because now they're going off to college, right?
right.
Now they're having to deal with these situations that stress them out, that make them very
Mhm,
anxious. And without the proper tools, they're
mhm,
going to fail, unfortunately. And this is our next generation of doctors, nurses, lawyers,
yeah,
bankers.
yeah,
We need them. And
right.
so we definitely got to pay attention to that, pour our support, love, energy into this age group and try to push them along the right direction.
So, could you reiterate that book again? What book is that again? I want to
It's
make
called,
sure.
yeah, sure. It's called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Haidt, Jonathan Haidt.
We'll put that in our notes on our show notes and everything.
Mhm.
We just appreciate, you guys, YouTube and whatever this will be loaded to, Instagram and all the places that we want to talk about mental health moving forward in the part two. I think we can pivot off and bring on someone about doing the homework. Bring
Absolutely.
on a parent, bring on a parent about the homework, bring on a parent about my child is in therapy, but are you doing the homework?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not us to point the finger, but it's us for us to bring evidence, an evidence-based solution to a problem that I can go to therapy, I can show up, I can do homework before I can show up for everybody else. She's told me to
Mm-hmm.
talk to my parents. So I'm gonna talk to my parent for 5 minutes. And then like I talk to my parents, so I'm gonna go back to my therapist and say, well, I talk to my parent. But
Absolutely.
you talk to your parent, or you spoke to your parent, better word. You spoke to your parent, you sat down for 5 minutes, but you still carrying the weight of the world on your neck at
Yes.
17, 16, 15, 14, and then you have rates of suicide going up.
Oh,
You
yes.
got rates of people, children going to the school with guns and knives. You got rates of just different components of what we can say life, that they should be enjoying life and being more productive and trying to figure out what I want to be. Study saying, I'm heavy every day. I'm waking up, but are we doing the homework? That's the question. So I think our
Yes.
part two, Dr. Fry, would be about bringing in a guest or some parents about the homework in
Sure.
therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
doing the homework. I think there'll be a great segment there. But we again, Dr. Fry and Jessica Bennett here.
Yep.
We are the Unapologetic for Truths. And like Dr. Fry said, that the audience is the fourth listener who you have an opinion to
Absolutely.
rebuttal, to interject what we stand about mental health as we see it, as Dr. Fry said, as I see it, as today. And can we bring evidence-based solution to a
Mm-hmm.
problem that we saying that we're dealing with, but we're really not? Thank
Absolutely.
y'all. Have a great day.